but always slow to the draw. That one's Bam Bam. He was just over here, picking on that tree and rubbing his head on the bank, having a little fun that way. Now he's going to go over here and look across the fence and across the lake and across the other fence at a couple of cows and a bunch of calves. And he's thinking he really wants some grass too, so I got to get my butt moving. Last setting to finish this side of the fence off, and see in the comments last night, some of you knew it was Becky's birthday yesterday. I was actually going to put an ending to the video and say something about that, but ended up running late, had trouble up here, and I didn't get to that. We had dinner over at Ron's last night, number 1 and Maury, and Ron and Becky and I. Number 2 had to work late last night. She got home, I don't know, around midnight, I guess. So anyway, she thanks everybody that wished her a happy birthday. She says she had a good day, so I'm good with that. When this finished up where I'm standing, I came up to turn it to point it the other direction to finish to the end. I went to shut the valve off. I can't shut the valve off. I don't know if the end of the rod has gotten deteriorated enough that it came up out of the threads or what. And so I horsed it around there. I ended up hooking the bike to it to spin it around with pressure on it, which, moved the thing about 6 inches and weaseled the hose around. It was fun. Got it stretched out. It ran until we left. I came up here. We actually were a little late getting down to Ron's, but I came out and shut the pump off and we left because I can't do anything with that valve with the pump on. So, what the heck, another half a day behind because I need to get back down there again to keep that grass growing. Keep it growing as long as we can. If we can pasture into November or December, I'm good with that. Saves a lot of hay. Anyway, so now that it's off, I'm going to try to get that apart. And I'll show you what I find. No, I haven't took it apart yet. Realized I didn't show you our sunrise. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Huh. Nothing. Thought I smoked that gopher. Well, I'm sure I did because I smoked him here along the fence. That was a few days ago. And I smoked the mole that was over here like 2 days ago. And when I went to move this little traveler over this direction, that was a fresh gopher mound last night or yesterday afternoon. Yeah, he's got 2 more holes right there. Now, keep in mind, there wasn't anything around it. There was 3 days there wasn't any gopher holes at all over here. So where'd he come from? They travel. Believe it or not, they actually get up on top of the ground and they travel long distances at night. I don't remember the figure anymore, but I mean, it's like a half a mile or a mile or something like that they will travel above ground at night. And God knows why they pick where they pick, but they'll either find an old set of runs and move into it or make their own. So it's really not uncommon to go through and, you can kill them all in a spot. And a week or 2 weeks later, all of a sudden you got gophers again using the same run. So, what I'd love to do, you can see how rough that patch is. And it's just as rough down there. Actually, the smooth part in the bottom is between the creek and the old creek bed. Yeah, it's not the greatest, but luckily the hay fields aren't as bad as what that is. I just happen to notice on this angle you can see how rough it is. Best way to take care of that is to run the subsoiler through it. You get the runs all broke up, and hopefully things kind of fall into place. And no, we need to do that. I got to watch where we do it though. And that particular piece, once it breaks over the creek, it didn't used to be too steep. It used to actually, the whole thing, if you can see the slope, just about where the gun for the traveler is. If you look in the middle of the screen, that's just fairly gentle slope all the way down. That's not much steeper than that all the way to the creek. And this whole piece used to be like that. We used to pasture harrow it. We used to run the sprayer on it. We used to run the fertilizer spreader on it. No issues. But the ground is always moving, believe it or not. It has gotten flatter straight out from me. And I mean, literally, it goes to the edge that you see here. I'll move it a little. Lines up with that wire in the middle right there. That's the straight edge across the, from there down, it's steep. It's steep enough that, well, where my mother once used to use the 135 and pasture harrow it, I wouldn't run the 135 on there for anybody. And I'm the one that plays in the steep hills. She don't. Even running a bike down there to try to smoke gophers, I mean, it's sketchy. Very sketchy. Luckily, the one that was over there down at the bottom, I had that flat area to go down. And it's not as bad over here at the end to get to the one that was down there, but I got to use the four-wheel drive anyway, because you aren't going to back out of it with a two-wheel drive. And you're not going to turn around down there. It's back straight up. Anyway, that's enough BSing for the morning, right? I get my butt to work. I knocked the lock loose, lifted that up. That's exactly how it came out. So, that means you got to dig around here so I can get a hold of this piece with the strap wrench and hopefully not have it break. Get that off and find another one. Or my other option is, I have one of those, instead of going to a 4-inch, it goes to a 3-inch. Put it on, put a plug in it. Because obviously, that's done. But here's what gets me at the moment, looking at it. That centerpiece is brass. The rest is aluminum. Interesting. I might be able to fix it. I don't know that the fix will hold, but I might be able to fix it. I thought I had another one of those. I know we have an extra one of the, it's orange plastic pipe. Obviously it's held up to the sun for 40 some years, and I thought we had an extra one of these orange pieces, but I couldn't find another one of those, so maybe we don't. And here's what happens to these things. Usually the threads to hold her closed are good, the rest of them are toast. Seals get bad. I don't believe this is one of the original ones. I think they've all been changed. That's probably the worst set of threads I've seen. But threads in there should still be good. Like I said, I got to figure out how to fix that. Here's the temporary fix. That little CP is probably about the same as that valve was leaking before. It is what it is. It's gonna leave a freaking wet spot. I threw the tape on there just because the nature of those plugs is they go like this when the pressure hits to seal, and when it goes like that, it could have popped it. and I don't want something happening where we're on and off all the time. Well, at least once a day we're on and off with the pump. I don't like as much leaky as that has, but oh well, hell of a lot better than it would be if I didn't put that on. So that's what we got. Now we'll get this thing moved and going. The fancy tester, you do like the old man used to do. This is one of the gopher shovels that I made years ago. And barely see the spark. I can see it really good. The camera's not picking it up. As long as that handle's dry, you don't get a tingle. And a lot of people have asked me if we get a third cutting. Well, we usually don't get a second cutting. I shouldn't say that though, because first cutting there and here, spin you around, and there is always for hay. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, maybe 10th cutting is done with those machines right there. There's enough here for them. Ain't nowhere near enough to cut for hay. And there's spots that we couldn't pick up because it was light. And number one. She's checking fence too, but she gave me her tester. Number one just spent 10 minutes getting that group of cows to go down the hill and out that gate down there. The lane is opened up so they can come up and get up here where I'm at. And they can go right in there. That'll be third cutting on that field this year. 2 with machine. First one with cattle. Now if they'll just follow her, and you can't even tell the lights are on that bike. She's got her lights on. I don't know why. They weren't on earlier. She must have bumped them when she leaned over to grab the wire or something. But the hard part now is convincing them to come back this way and come up the lane. We could have opened the wires right here and let them right in, but the problem with that is the cows figure that out. They'll come out and go, oh, the wires are back up, and they'll go around and down the lane, but the calves won't figure that out because that's where they came in. So that's what you got to do, is make sure that they know where they came in so they'll make it back out on their own. And I'm sitting up here because the only times they've been up here this year, they've gone into this piece. And I don't want them going through these wires. Here they come. They'll figure this out in a minute because they know those gates are open. The calves, on the other hand, they're bewildered by me being in their way. It's like, oh, mommy went that way. Here we go. They'll be happy out here for a while. There's quite a bit of grass out there. There's some gopher smoking going on here. I haven't been back here to get this one yet because, well, I haven't gotten back here when it's been irrigated. And I was going to get him on that side of the fence a while back, but he quit digging over there. And then I didn't see any diggings from him for a while. He's been busy again. He was nice enough to leave that hole open for me. Gopher down at the other end by the riser, he made the fatal mistake of leaving his hole open today too. Becky saw him stick his head out while I was smoking the one on the other side of the fence from the hayfield. It didn't connect. It didn't come out the hole he was in, so I went into the edge of the hayfield and got the open hole. Had pretty good smoke, so pretty sure I got him this time. These spots, I don't dare smoke them yet. It's too freaking dry in here to get something going. Or like underneath the cedar tree right there, there's a mole working. Well, yeah, right into the roots. That's just what I need to do, is light them up. Part of this might get wet enough, but there's a lot of roots down in here. What I was going to show you though is, I remember I cleaned up that piece of junk. Put a bunch of it right there, and I was hoping that when the traveler went by, I'd take this one down. Well, I don't know what finally took it.
But part of it's on the pile, part of it's clear out there, part of it's right there. I'm good with that. That was not that way. Oh geez. Yesterday, day before, I want to say when we moved the traveler to there, I looked over and it was still here. So God knows when it fell. And yeah, that's not that big a deal there. That's not going to come going crushed on somebody's head. Anyway, I'm out here with the 17 looking to see what I can find. Waiting for the little traveler to get in. It might be in by now. I'm just going to shut it off for the night. I'll move it in the morning, as I think it's going to go down in the bottom again. And in the morning the big one should be in. Flip a couple pipes over, run it down the other side over there, and then let her run her day and run it back here, and then we'll have to do the fun part, and all those pipes will have to get moved back down by the other fence again, so we can make 2 passes in there. It's that, or just break them loose and go through and make what, 1, 2, 3, I guess 3 short passes. But the long passes are easier because they're more or less a 24-hour set. And the short ones, I mean, we're looking at probably 2 18-hours and a 12-hour, if that. That kind of screws up keeping it going all the time. And, you know, y'all know we've been watering this, and this is what it looks like. Looks a little better there. The old fence used to be right here, right at the middle of the screen. But it had gotten where we couldn't get around between it and those trees to get into this one piece. And where it came up here, right behind me, hit right here in the middle of the screen and then took off that way. And the trees growing out here, we couldn't get through there either. So a few years ago I said, screw it. We're going to take some out of the hayfield, but we're going to make up for it. So that's why there's a little bit of difference. You got hayfield versus what was only pasture. And what was only pasture for a lot of years only had mom's horses on it, and they are hard on grass. But at any rate, you still see what's here compared to what's there. Yeah. Some of this stuff, well, actually on the other side of the creek over there, excuse me, the little patch by the bridge, we just watered the hell out of that. And I expected some green to show by now, and it isn't. So I got a feeling that a bunch of the grass, it did it in. Not what I really want to know. But see the green strip on the other side of the creek, and then the brown? I think that brown's gone, and it's all been watered the same. So anyway, it is what it is. I'm gonna make my way back over and shut the little one off. I may or may not speed this one up. It's leaking pretty good today. It wasn't leaking too bad yesterday. And the leak in our line, I threw a half a barrel over it, so it's not soaking the tractor. And I don't see where it's running down into this little gully. Maybe it's found a few gopher and molehills to go in, I don't know. But right down here, see a little sheen to that? That's how that usually looks right there most of the year. So, reactivated the spring maybe, I don't know. There's always been a spring in there between that and that drainage coming into it. So, yeah, with that I'll let you go. Get this ready to go up so y'all can watch it tonight. Hope you've all had a good Friday. Hope y'all have a good weekend. Oh, and something else quick. About 5-6 years ago, the cedar trees around here started dying off. And it's those 3 dead ones in the hayfield. This next one, the tops disappearing. That one so far looks good. Spin you around again. This one, yeah, we'll never know because the top got knocked out of that in a windstorm. But those two right there, the one looks pretty good. The other one sure don't. That's kind of the end of the cedar trees over here, other than the one at the end of the lane down there where you can't see. And we won't know about the top of that either. That had 4 tops in it. And I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. Little, they said we didn't have any rotational winds. I don't know if we can see that tree from here. I can see the base of it. Yeah, I can't see the top of it from here anymore because it got shortened. It's on the other side of the, oh, what is that one? There's a maple and a cottonwood. But anyway, tore a section roof off the hay barn, tore some roof off the high part of the main barn, and snapped the tops off. There was 4 or 5 of them. I snapped 17 to 18 feet off the top of that cedar tree down there and laid it on the ground 20 feet from it. But oh no, we did not have any rotational winds. Funny thing is, while I was standing on top of the big barn up there, I could look in almost a straight line down through 3 or 4 neighbors' places. There was a gap. But we didn't have any rotational winds. Oh well, that's enough.